WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
And I'm joined tonight by Jaylon Brooks and Connor Rowles.
Hello.
How you boys doing tonight?
I'm doing quite swell.
I'm doing fantastic. It's actually, you know what? You can change that. I'm not doing fantastic. You can say I'm nervous. I'm nervous for this weekend, but we can get into that.
We got Championship Sunday coming up this weekend. I know you boys got a big game, 49ers versus the Eagles. How you boys feeling for that game this weekend?
I feel absolutely wonderful. So me personally, I'm going to be in attendance that game. So I'm super excited to be in that crowd and be in that atmosphere. But I think we have a really good chance of beating that with Brock Purdy at the quarterback position.
One thing I want to say is before we get started is you definitely have to take some videos and bring it back.
I definitely will.
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to see that.
I need to know what it's like in Philly, win or lose. I want to hear what the streets are like.
Best believe if we don't win, I'm not taking any videos.
Oh, yeah, I understand that, but if they win, let me see. You gotta take videos.
If we win, I might record everything.
We're gonna see Connor on top of a street pole.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so.
But getting back to your question, I'm excited for this game because it's obviously gonna be a big game, but I'm also at the same time a little bit nervous because this is gonna be obviously the biggest test for the Eagles. I think this is gonna be by far, I don't have to say that. By far their toughest opponent yet, but there's a lot of question marks. In terms of matchup that I'm excited to see, and I'm excited to see the coaching battle too. So
most definitely. So for me, I love what I'm looking for is I think we have a great shot because first of all, it's going to be a great game. It's one of the best D-lines and O-lines, both sides going against each other. But the 49ers have the number one ranked defense in the league, and the Eagles have, I want to say, one of the best offenses in the league with the way they run the football and can pass the ball. So that'll be a great matchup, and what I really am excited to see is the Eagles have all their starters back. We just saw that Avonte Maddox is joining the team for the game on Sunday. And Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, he has been 7-0 against all of his opponents so far this season. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he does against the number one pass defense and all that secondary.
Like we talked about last week, Brock Purdy still hasn't really faced a pass rushing defense, so that's why I'm also really excited for this defense. But one thing that makes me kind of nervous too is speaking on your Avonte Maddox point. Are you a little worried that he might be a little rusty? Because immediately this is a big game, and I think he's missed at least 7 weeks or 6 or 7 weeks.
It was a decent amount, but yeah, not really, but a little bit at the same time because I know it's all plug and play. It's football. That'll be tough, but I don't really think they have a lot of weapons besides Deebo Samuel. Jordan, not a lot of weapons, but I'm naming some of the best position players in the NFL. But you look at their wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk is a great route runner, but Avonte Maddox goes against Devontae Smith every day in practice. Their wide receiver 3, Juwan Jennings, is nothing like what we have, so I think he will be good to go. And if not, then we can just move Reed Blankenship back at safety and move C.J. Gardner-Johnson down to...
Oh, my bad. But that is a good point you bring up because I am more nervous for their defense, obviously, than their offense. If you look at their defense, I don't even have to talk about, Nick Bosa, but Fred Warner, their linebackers, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw's another good one. You have their corners. I know that we've been kind of iffy last couple of weeks, but they've been they still held their own this season, and I don't think it's going to be an easy challenge, and I'm really especially curious because they're going to try to stop that run game for the Eagles, and they're really going to try to make Jalen Hurts throw that ball. So.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Brady?
As a 49ers enthusiast, the entire
here you
season,
go.
Coming into this game, I'm sticking with the 49ers for my pick for who's going to win. I think that the 49ers are still probably, I would say, the best team in football from my perspective at least. The Brock Purdy thing does scare me because that was his worst game of the season last week against Dallas.
And the Eagles' defense is significantly better.
The Eagles' defense is a much better defense than that defense, so it makes me a little concerned. But I have so much faith in Kyle Shanahan. Just watching what he does. That's the guys just get open in that offense. They just do. And he's gonna find a way. He's gonna game plan to account for the fact that they're not gonna need Brock Purdy to have a great game to win. Right. Kyle Shanahan, whatever he's gonna scheme up, the idea is not going to be Brock Purdy's going to have a great game and that is what is going to let us win. Like, that's not what he's going to do when they're like trying to figure out what they're going to do for this game. So I know he's going to find ways to work around that. And I just think this 49ers defense on top of that it's just a recipe for success.
Yeah, so I'm going to build upon that point because I think you're completely wrong. Sorry. But Brock Purdy, he has been, I don't want to say, okay, I'll say it. He's been really bad the last couple weeks. Like,
I wouldn't say that.
The reason they win is because of he throws these little checkdowns and he lets Deebo Samuel, CMC, and George Kittle go to work. Mm-hmm. You look at last week, and Deebo Samuel didn't do much. George Kittle, he had a really good game, really good catch, and that's about it. CMC had a really good game, but he still looked not good at all. Like, he missed a lot of throws. He only had 214 yards, but a lot of it was just under pressure throwaways, short routes, dump offs.
Which works. It works in that offense, though.
It works, but when people scheme for it, it's not going to work. Like the Cowboys.
Cowboys should have won that game.
Trayvon Diggs, right?
They should have.
I think the Cowboys should have won.
If Dak wasn't being,
if
Dak has been like that the entire season.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But the game before that, he didn't play like that.
Like if Dak played well, Dak didn't play well the entire season.
I mean, but the game before that, he went off against the
8-9 Buccaneers team.
Buccaneers defense, everyone knew was awful.
Yeah, but
like there was this with that game, there was a misconception that Tom Brady was gonna somehow like lead them. And then, like, to, like, the Super Bowl, because Tom Brady. But, like, people just forgot the defense was, like, awful.
Yeah. But, so, well, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, right. That's right. So, the Cowboys, they have Trayvon Diggs, who's a good corner, lets up a lot of yards, but is a good corner. Their whole secondary besides Trayvon Diggs is not good at all. It's very...
Trayvon Diggs also can't tackle. I kind of realized that, like, the last couple weeks. Trayvon Diggs just can't tackle anyone.
Yeah, he's not a great tackler.
Which isn't a great matchup for when you're playing the 49ers, where that's all they do is have their guys try to run after the catch.
Yeah, but you look at CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I'm talking about So you look at Deebo Samuel. He had 45 yards. Trayvon Diggs was strapping that up. He had him in a seatbelt. George Kittle had a big game, very big game. 95 yards, 5 receptions. But most of the yards came off that one big play where he had made that circus catch. Yeah. Crazy. The rest of the offense didn't do much besides Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey. They both had over 10 carries, and CMC had 35 yards, and Elijah Mitchell had 51 yards. Not a great offensive performance for them. The only reason they won is because of their defense. But I think their secondary is not the greatest. I think they have a great safety in Tyler Hufanga. I think their linebackers are really good, amazing. They have one of the best linebacker core in the game. Their D-line, I think, it gets overrated a lot with Nick Bosa. He had 18 sacks this season, and everyone else drop off with 6 sacks. You look at the corners. Ward is a great corner, but he let up 117 yards to CeeDee Lamb, who, like y'all said, Dak did not have a good game. And then they're not good against tight ends. Dalton Schultz had 5 catches of 27 yards. He did good right there, but we all know they don't have a great scheme against tight ends. And don't let me get started with the running quarterbacks. They lost week 1 to Justin Fields, who you could say was in a rain, horrible weather.
That game you couldn't throw the ball, I remember. They were sliding in puddles.
I'll give you that. But they lose to the Falcons. That's the big game I'm talking about. The Falcons with Marcus Mariota. He destroyed them through the air and through the run because they have a hard time handling running quarterbacks. That's why I'm confident with this team. Not because they have a great defense and we can throw the ball over them. I think Jalen Hurts will be able to expose their defense because Marcus Mariota already did it. I think we can all agree Marcus Mariota is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And Brock Purdy worries me a lot because last week he hasn't faced a great pass rush this entire time he's been playing. They're playing a team that has 70 sacks on the season. 4 players had 10-plus sacks. That's getting after the quarterback, relentless pass rush against the number 1 secondary in the league. All-Pro James Bradbury, Pro Bowl Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had 6 interceptions. Avonte Maddox is coming back to the corner position. Their linebackers have been great against the tight ends. I'm saying Brock Purdy is going to have a miserable time in that hostile environment. Y'all turn.
I mean, dude, you pretty much wrapped it up. I 100% disagree with you. I just think, you hit on all points. That's really all I can say.
Sorry if I...
No, you're completely good because I am 100% with you. That's the funny part about it. Like, I really don't have anything to say against that because, everything from the environment, the defense, O-line, it really just is coming to come down to me. It's just like the only thing I'm nervous about is just Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan does worry me.
Because sometimes, I mean, I leave it to no one else. I think he could definitely find a way and scheme something out. But also, then again, we've seen him time and time again make some mistakes in some of the bigger moments down the line in the playoffs. But who's not to say this can't be the year that he finally learns from that. So, but other than that, I'm 100% with you. It's going to be a tough game for the 49ers, I think. I
agree with what you said on one thing. I think if the Eagles win this game, it's because of the run game. Like, I think that's like the way that they can beat the 49ers is if they slow this game down a lot and just try to run it down their throat, which I think that could work. If the 49ers can't stop the run, then they probably can't win.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Let me ask you all a question. This is just for fun. Whose antics get on your whose antics get on your nerves more? Is it George Kittle or Nick Sirianni?
So it's crazy to say because I like what George Kittle does. I like his personality.
Like that? Okay.
I like George Kittle and Nick Sirianni personalities.
Okay, so you're like
I can't really choose because I enjoy seeing both of them doing what they do.
I love Sirianni just because he's the perfect embodiment for Philly. Because like I know a lot of people don't like him, but like that is what I get hype when I see that on the sideline. That's corny as that sounds, but I love Nick Sirianni.
George Kittle just always makes me laugh when he's like talking through like his plays.
Yeah,
with like the one where like bounce off his hand and it's how like when he's like talking and like it just both of them make me laugh in like different ways. Like you said about Sirianni, how he's just Philly. Like I just like see that man talk. I'm like, yep, he's an Eagle, and just like it makes me laugh that like he's just like embraced like the culture so well.
That's what I love about him. But
there's one more thing I forgot to add.
All right, that's it.
And it's about the crowd. I don't know if you saw on Twitter or during the press conference, Deebo Samuel, he talked about, I think, of course he's just talking about the 49ers crowd, but he says the 49ers crowd have the loudest stadium, whatever. We all know he's just talking out of his mouth. But he was like, it's just going to be a loud crowd. It's nothing to worry about.
Oh, they have no idea.
Well, the thing is, Jonathan Gannon was a part of that Vikings team that came into Philly, who, just like the 49ers did, dressed Rocky up in their own gear.
That's what I thought you were leading to.
They lost 38-7 that exact game, and the reporters asked Jonathan Gannon what was his experience like, and he said it was the worst experience he's ever had coaching or playing a football game, and that tells you how hostile and how rowdy and how crazy that crowd is, and I think they're in for a rude awakening.
I do too. I think it's going to be an entertaining game, either or. But yeah, that's pretty much. We'll see what happens. Go Birds.
So you guys are
Go
both
Birds.
picking the Birds,
Oh,
right?
of course.
Oh, last thing, just real quick. One thing I wanted to bring up from last week's game is like before the tip-off, you want to know like if you could look back at any point like after the game and just see like when did you know the game was over? It was at tip-off because the Eagles they dropped a mic'd up video.
Oh, I saw that.
Brandon Graham just like not even talking trash, but he's just being Brandon Graham, which is the funniest part. But he's like not talking trash, but he's talking trash, and no one is responding.
No.
The only person responding is Saquon Barkley, and he's just like it's just kind of cringe.
Actually, I did see that, but it was funny because I saw the same exact video. I think it was a different like setup or whatever, where I heard Dexter Lawrence. He said, we're gonna run it down your throat. And he said, I want that.
Oh, yeah,
keep talking, bring that on. As they run for 268 yards on that entire defense.
Yeah.
So I think that was just funny.
Yeah,
but.
and then they had Brandon Graham that Saquon was like, he's like, I hope you chip me. He's like, and Saquon was like, all day.
That is beautiful. All right, we'll be back right after a short break where we will be discussing the Chiefs versus Bengals game.
WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
And we are back. This is 90.7, the student section. My name is Brady. It's time to talk about the Chiefs and the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Our other championship game this weekend. There's been a lot of beef, I would say, between these two. A lot of smack talk. I think that Joe Burrow has taken a lot of things personal. Eli Apple, I think we can guarantee will have 5 sound bites from the game that will go viral.
I think we should just run down the list right now.
The list of just everything that's happened.
Like all the pettiness that's going on right now. First, let's start off by saying Joe Burrow saying one of the coldest quotes after like just getting the W. Just saying, you should better look to give those refunds back, or you better send out those refunds.
Yeah, that was cold.
Which he's alluding to as in the Bills and Chiefs. We're going to play in a different location, a neutral site, and that's what
they're
got
already
prompted the
selling
quote.
tickets for that game.
Exactly, and Joe Burrow just said, better send out those refunds. So I think
the chip on his shoulder he had, because I guess like the NFL had basically like been like doing everything to set up like the game.
The Bills versus
like,
Chiefs, the whole Stephon Diggs.
They had been coordinating like everything to get like all the stuff to be ready for that thing. And I think the Bengals took that more personal, because I didn't even realize that like they had like taken that until Joe Burrow had that comment, and then I was like, oh, that's extra motivation.
I knew they were absolutely upset when Joe Mixon pulled out that nickel for that touchdown celebration for the flipping of the coin.
The coin toss.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what that was from? Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Actually, I forget what the whole point was, but Ocho Cinco talked. I want someone to flip a coin or something like that. I think it was because of that.
Okay.
So it might have been because of that, and then that's what.
I did hear some noise about Ocho Cinco being a part of that, but I didn't know that. But also, so you have the Joe Burrow quote. Next thing on the list, now we can talk about Eli Apple. This guy, every postseason, it seems like Eli Apple just turns into like I don't know, like a
Black
gremlin
Force
or
energy.
I love it. I love it so much. Like I am like the Twitter beef after that Bills game of Eli Apple just like rubbing it in like as much. I think we need more of that.
Couples therapy for Diggs and Allen. That was ridiculous.
And then also just him, like I know we talked about it, but like he says he didn't mean for it, but like the emoji he used was the same emoji that got big right after that Damar Hamlin injury. And I don't know if he did do that on purpose. He said he didn't do that to make fun of that situation, which I can believe, but I think
there was secondhand like thinking like, oh,
I think he
I think this could work.
Exactly. So I think that is the trash talk has just been like incredible. And then you have Chris Jones and this press conference, but this is for the next game.
Yeah, this was I think it was I think it was Eli Apple who claimed Burrowhead. He was like, see y'all at Burrowhead.
Yep.
And then Chris Jones.
After the press conference today, he ended his press conference by answering a question, and then he just says, see y'all at Burrowhead, and just walks off. So this stage isn't already set, and if you're not already excited for this game, especially with the history between these two, the Chiefs never beating the Bengals the last 3 times they've met, get your popcorn.
So I don't know if you saw this because this came out today, but the mayor of Cincinnati.
Oh,
did you see this?
Add that to the list.
Oh my goodness. He was sitting down all merry, kind of, I guess you could say. He's reading something off the screen or the page, and he's talking about how Joe Burrow should take a paternity test and make sure that Patrick Mahomes is not his son. That is bad. Bad enough.
Mayor.
Bad enough. And he made January 20, I forget what date he said. 4. But he said,
or I don't know.
No, it's like the day are they the first second game? January 29th.
Yeah, so they made that day this like the Cincinnati who they play day. And that's just adding onto the fire. And at the end of the video he said, see y'all at Burrowhead. So we have a lot of popcorn, a lot of fireworks ready for this game.
Purival. I think that's the Cincinnati.
Yes, that is. But man, oh man, this is going to be an exciting game with a lot of tension, a lot of talk, a lot of everything. And I'm here for it.
And not to only add to the storyline, but you know everyone's had this circled. Like you know the Chiefs and Bengals, everyone on that roster has had this date circled for the longest time. I feel like they all felt like they were going to come back and they were going to meet again. But I will say, excuse me, I'm sorry. But I will say there's another storyline that could be talked about too. It's just Patrick Mahomes suffering that ankle injury, and it looks like he's practicing today and he's walking around.
I think he's okay.
Did you guys see the tweet his trainer?
The X-ray?
Yeah, the dog picture.
That was his trainer tweet out a picture, and it's an X-ray of Patrick Mahomes' ankle, and just in the background just the dog.
Yep.
And so that just like.
He's good to go.
Mahomes is right. He's going no matter what, and you could see it in like their game against last weekend. Like Mahomes was like wanting to be out there,
but he like they said they just couldn't. Well, he tried to get back out.
Yeah,
there,
it was
just
like the fight. Yeah. Like Mahomes wants to play no matter what.
Yeah. So let's move on to the actual game. And so who do y'all think will actually like take the game? Because I have some thoughts. So what do y'all thinking?
So I know Patrick Mahomes is injured, and I think for pretty good while I've been saying I really am full on on the train with Joe Burrow. I'm rooting for the Bengals, but I am getting a weird feeling.
Yeah.
This is I think this is going to add to this game. Might add to Mahomes' greatness because I feel like the narrative that he's injured, the fact that they've lost the last 3 times they've met, the fact that all this trash talk has been happening, Burrowhead and disrespecting your home turf. I think he's going to send a message, and I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to come back on top.
So go ahead, Brady.
I'm so conflicted about like who I want.
You've been rooting for the Chiefs all year.
I've been saying the Chiefs. I've been saying the Chiefs all year, and I think that the Chiefs will win. But I think I'm conflicted on who I want to win in a way because I feel like if the Bengals win, that would just be like the coolest thing. Like,
I want the Bengals to win, but
it would be just like so cool to just because like. Let's be real. Joe Burrow is like legitimately one of like top 5 coolest dudes. Like, just the energy. It's like just to see Joe like.
It's what's so funny. It's like it doesn't even seem like he's ever trying to. Like it's just like
I know
everything looks effortless.
Yeah, exactly.
We're glazing right now, but
like watching him win is just like fun. Like it's just like I enjoy watching just Joe Burrow just like being that guy.
Exactly.
So, but if I had to pick, I think I would pick the Chiefs. But I don't think I'm not going to be upset with whoever wins.
Exactly. That's going to be a good game.
It's just going to be a great game.
So for me, but before all this trash talk has started, I went back and looked at the previous matchup this year. Patrick Mahomes, he had a pretty good game, 223 yards, a touchdown, stuff like that. Isaiah Pacheco had 66 yards and a touchdown, which is not bad. Their receivers didn't really do much. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 71 yards, 2 catches. Travis Kelce had 4 catches, 56 yards. We can expect more of that. It's playoff football. But their receivers, this was before they got Kadarius Toney, so we'll see something that probably from him. But not a lot of weapons. But we look at the Bengals. We know how bad the Chiefs' defense is. We don't have to explain that. Mm-hmm. But there was no Joe Mixon this game, and Samaj P. Ryan ran for 106 yards.
Yep.
You can't do that in playoff football, so I think they're going to lock down. But if they're getting Joe Mixon back, that's a big thing for the Bengals. And Jamar Chase lit him up, 97 yards, 7 catches. You had Tyler Boyd, 60 yards, 4 catches, and you had T. Higgins with the lone touchdown from the receiving corps. And that tells me this offense, it's really hard to guard this offense with the way they can run the football and Joe Burrow throwing the football with all these weapons on the side. But after the injury with Patrick Mahomes, I was like, there's no way the Chiefs win this game. And then you get to Burrowhead, you get to the mayor, you get to all this trash talk, and there's no way the Chiefs should win this game. But there's a possibility the Chiefs win this game because of that trash talk.
All that, it doesn't sit well. Like it
doesn't sit well with me. I still have the Bengals coming out on top, going 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But I'm like, it worries me because of all the trash talk. Why couldn't they just keep their mouth shut and just play football?
And I do kind of like how like the Chiefs haven't responded. Like
I do too, because
no one said anything about all this stuff happening. Like, there's just been no sound bites. They've just been head down. They're going to come out and they're going to play. And then if they win, that's when the Chiefs players are going to be coming down and talking about how they heard all this.
That's going to scare me.
I also think, like, I know you going back to like the Chiefs defense, but how do you think the Chiefs defense matches up with the Bengals O-line? Because I think they're dealing with injuries as of right now. They're missing their
They're missing guard. Basically almost all their O-line.
Yeah, their right guard, the left tackle. I don't know if Leo Collins is still.
I think he's out. I think he's out for the year. I think he tore his ACL. I think.
I think you're correct. But yeah, so they've had like a lot of big injuries on that O line, and like you look at last year's Super Bowl, that's kind of the issues, or like last year's Super Bowl and AFC Championship game. That's one of the things they struggled with. So I think in terms of getting pressure on Joe Burrow, I don't think they're really going to struggle with that, but. Joe Burrow doesn't need much time.
Yeah, so like the thing that you're talking about is with their O-line being missing, their O-line was worse than it was last year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they have talent. A lot of it's injured. But
which is so ironic because they went all offseason to try to bring in some O-line talent for them. And now they're just all out. Hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think last year's O-line was a lot worse than this year, even with all the injuries. But you look back at last week and the Bills didn't really get a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow. He was able to get the ball out cleanly. He looked amazing. 242 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Bills secondary, who should be really good. With
the tone early too.
Yeah,
like he just went out there and just made them know that like they were not messing around.
Yeah, and that's one thing. You got to be kind of like we said. We've already been talking about. We're just super excited for this game. But also, one thing I wanted to mention is Hayden Hurst. I feel like has been a really underrated pickup.
He has been very underrated. I think it's crazy to say because I think CJ Uzama or whatever. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was one of the fan favorites for the Bengals last year, and I think he had a really great year. He proved himself. He got a big contract this offseason. I was like, there's no way you can upgrade. They got Hayden Hurst, and Hayden Hurst has been looking like he could be one of the top tight ends in the league.
And it's so funny because you saw him on the Ravens, and you saw like, okay, he's behind Mark Andrews, and like you could see flashes a little bit.
You saw flashes, then you saw him go to Atlanta.
Atlanta completely just the down career, like just like looked like a
completely
different player, and now you see. Just comes to Joe Burrow and looks like that tight end that we all thought he could be.
Yeah.
So just good for the Bengals. It always seems like they're making low-key additions that go so under the radar, and then when playoffs and postseason comes around, you just really see like how big of an impact they make.
Yeah, and we all look at this. The Chiefs O-line has been very great this year. They've they've allowed I think second least or third least. They're top 5 in sacks allowed, like in the good way. But it doesn't even matter. The Bengals, I feel like, just had their number. Trey Hendrickson, last time they played, Patrick Mahomes hasn't really been sacked much this year. Trey Hendrickson, I think, got to him once in a lot of pressures. So I think he has that number. And the linebacker, Logan Wilson, he also got back there one time for a sack. So I think this Bengals D-line, this Bengals defense has a way with this Chiefs O-line where I think it might be a mental thing. I don't know if it is because they play great against everybody else, but when the Bengals come to town, that defense shuts everything down. So that's what I'm worried about with Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes' mobility and the way that the Bengals can get after the passer and the way the Bengals secondary has been playing this year. I think that could be very scary for the Chiefs, but with all that trash talk, that could just erase everything.
Oh, I'm excited out of the way. We'll see what happens.
All right, let's get official picks then. So to wrap this up, who are you guys taking in this game?
Chiefs.
I'm going Bengals. I think the trash talk will play a big role in this, and I would not be surprised if the Chiefs win. But the Chiefs should have lost last week. There was a lot of self-inflicted wounds that Jaguars had.
Yep.
But I still have the Bengals coming out on top.
I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs. I've been with them since week 1.
You can't hop off now.
I've been there. I can't hop off the train now that I've made it here. But in recent news, switching sports now, the NBA recently released the All-Star starters.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
And there was a little bit of controversy. And I would say more in the East than the West.
Yes.
Is where the controversy
But I think there is a very controversial topic in the West. But
that might be true. So let's just go through the East starters to start. So this is official.
The
official starters they announced yesterday.
I'm interested.
The 2 guards are Donovan Mitchell and Kyrie Irving. And then the 3 forwards are Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Jason Tatum.
All right.
One big name missing.
There is a very big name who is actually second leading scorer in the NBA.
Let's come back to that. I want to hear the West starters.
Yeah, let's hear the West because
then the West we have Luka and Curry, and then Jokic, Zion, and LeBron.
Okay, interesting.
So what do you want to start off with, East or West?
Well, let's just attack the elephant in the room. I don't think that's the right saying at all, but pretty much, pretty much we can start with the East. Yeah, but we can start with the East and just talk about how Joel Embiid is not an all-star starter is completely crazy to me. I understand that this happens like almost every year to where he doesn't get like they hate the process appreciation he deserves, because the past 2 years he's been set a runner-up for MVP. Arguably, I think he should have won.
He should have won it last year.
He's currently second in MVP right now. He's leading the league in scoring right now. The Sixers started off terrible, and they completely changed their season around, mostly because of Joel Embiid and how dominant he's been playing. And I also just want to talk about the format. I understand that the NBA changed the format to 2 guards and 3 forwards and an alternate. But pretty much the reason they changed it is because the NBA center position was dying. The NBA center position now, if you take a look around the league, it's back. It's fully back. Your two top MVP candidates right now for the past 3 years have been big men.
I wouldn't say it's fully back.
I think it's making.
But the difference between the top 2 and the 3, I think, is like the Grand Canyon.
It's a difference, but
for there to be a center position.
The best players in the league are the centers, in my opinion.
You have you can't.
Those aren't the 2 best players in the league, though.
I think they are.
No,
That's
a
whole nother discussion. But I will say,
with Joel Embiid, the thing is with this, the format. I
think Embiid's the most dominant player in the NBA. For sure. Yeah.
I still wouldn't say that.
I'll say Embiid is the most dominant.
Who do you think is the most dominant player?
Dominant? I think Luka's more dominant.
No.
I think Giannis.
That's a good debate.
I think Giannis
we'll come back to this another.
Let's talk about our starters because we could go on.
Yeah. Because going through this team, the starters that they have, I don't think I would change it. I know it sucks. It sucks that Embiid's not starting, and that he can't start. But I think all the other guys I would pick over Embiid.
I think I mean I'm going to be honest. Arguing against JT, Giannis, and Durant really because of their
it's hard.
It's just out of those 3 you can really replace. It's hard to make an argument for it, but I'm sorry, one's got to go.
I definitely have an argument when we come back.
I don't think there's a great argument against it. We do have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more digesting the NBA All-Star starters. This is 90.7 The Cap section.
WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
And we are back. This is 90.7, the student section. We were interrupted during our All-Star talk, so let's get right back into it.
So I had one point I wanted to make before we get to our problems with our West. Embiid should be a starter over, in my opinion, Kevin Durant, because we're going to look at the West and we're going to bring up the same kind of problems with one player in the West, and that's injuries. Kevin Durant has had a great season. You can't argue that, but he got hurt. He's going to be out. Games missed should be a factor in this game, in this whole selection.
They were for Embiid in the past.
Embiid has been averaging either 34 or 35 points per game. He's been one of the most dominant players in the league as of lately. You can't stop him. He's averaged, close to 40 points per game in the month of January and December. He hasn't missed much time, and Durant is out here missing, a month maybe?
I got some bad news for you, though. Kevin Durant does have more games played on the season so far.
Well,
Kevin Durant has 39 games played, and Embiid has 35.
Well, the thing for Embiid, though, I think mostly it's not an actual injury, though.
Actually,
it's actually more so.
There was a stretch where he was sick,
and they were awful.
Awful.
I think awful. I know there's a time that they were trying to rest him, one to get back in shape, get his conditioning back up, and also, like you said, he was sick. I think he had the flu for a little bit.
Something like that.
I mean, KD's played 4 more games. I wouldn't say health's a factor.
But I think being sick.
The difference between load management and injury, I feel like, is a little different. But I see what you're coming from.
You're right.
But you could also make
I would say you're very right on your point.
You are right. But I could also say the same, not same thing, but Giannis. He's had a dominant year. Recently, for the past, I want to say, couple weeks, maybe a month, he's been very, I don't want to say bad, but he hasn't been himself. And I'm saying you want a consistent Joel Embiid who will put up 30 a night. I think he has, I don't know, I want to say 17 or 18 30-point games already this season.
He's had a lot.
Giannis, he has been very underwhelming the past month. So I'm saying...
I'm not so much down on Giannis, and I'm not so much down on Jason Tatum.
It's just so hard.
It's hard.
They started so strong, and so I can't just because I don't think because both of them, Giannis and Jason Tatum, haven't been playing.
Giannis, I think, had a legacy. Like Giannis was going to start.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's the captain. He got the most. Like, Giannis was going to start.
So that's why and plus we know Giannis is bringing it every night. He doesn't take a day off. But to your point, the Celtics. I think they won. No, they lost the Knicks. I'm sorry.
We've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I know the
Sixers are coming up there.
The Celtics are. I think we're 2 games back, if I'm not mistaken, right from the Celtics.
I think so. Either 2 or 3.
2.5.
2.5.
2.5.
And after the win on Saturday.
And I think that's actually a matchup you kind of don't want to see. Like if you're a Celtics fan, like I know Brady you are, but
I love playing the Sixers. We always win.
You did, but now I think it's different this year.
Why would I be sad about playing the Sixers? It's like going to see your grandson. You know, you get to take him to the park, walk around with them.
Really bad.
I could debate you all day about this, but let's move on to the West. And I have one big problem, and that's Zion Williamson.
And that's who I had too.
He's missed 20 games so far this season, right? 20 plus. He's been really good, but he's missed 20 games
in the first half of the season.
Sabonis should be the starter over him. They have brought the Kings into the third seed playoff position. Third playoff position.
The Kings, you say?
Domantas Sabonis should be a starter. Mark it.
I'm gonna go just pedal off of that real quick, but I am 100% with you. Zion not being a starter in the West. I actually, if I can find it, I don't know who I replaced him with. I replaced Zion with SGA actually.
Really?
Yeah, because I think Shai needs a little bit.
I think
more credit
technically
for what he's
Shai's a guard, so that's
he
why.
Is, but you know,
yeah, I know.
The format thing's weird, and I'm not gonna go with it.
If I could replace Zion with Shai, I definitely would.
Okay.
The thing with Sabonis, I like Sabonis. I think for my All-Star game, if I had to pick someone to start, I'm gonna vote for Zion. You know, I think that's part of the problem.
It's the problem.
That's the problem. People want to see Zion on the court, though. That's the thing. I wouldn't say popularity. It's just entertainment. Zion's one of the most
of course, entertainment
players
but it's
to
also
watch.
But what's more entertaining, a player who gets stuff done consistently, or a player who's on the bench with an injury?
The All-Star it should be about that's the thing about being an All-Star. It's because you had a really great
year. It's
named, and it should be
right now.
It's a legacy thing.
It's in the name is All-Star. It should be the most fun players.
I promise you, if the NBA had more one-time All-Stars, the NBA game would be more competitive. Mm-hmm. Because the more first-time All-Stars or people who actually
they're going to want to show out.
Exactly.
It's a legacy
because everyone's
builder.
just so used to it, and now they're playing a lackadaisical, and it's not. And I know they changed the rules around, which they're doing again, but.
I like the rule change.
I like the draft at the beginning.
I like the draft at the beginning. I like how at the end too. It's the point cap. I like that.
I like that too, but I said at the same time I've just been I feel like that all could have been prevented. I'm going down this road a little bit. Should we get into the reserves though?
Yes.
Because start East or West first.
I'm gonna start with West.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go Jaylon, then me, then Brady.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go with so my reserves. I have two names that you could probably swap them out with, but we'll get to that. So my first reserve is obviously Ja Morant. And then, like I said, all right, I took Zion out of my starting lineup, so Zion's one. And then Lauri Markkanen, Damian Lillard. So this is where it gets kind of controversial. I want a king in there. So I'm either going to give it to De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis.
Oh, you want a king?
Yeah.
I see.
And then I'm either going to give it to this one's kind of tough. I'm either going to give it to Anthony Edwards or I might give it to CJ McCollum because I think the Pelicans, because when everyone was dealing with injuries, CJ McCollum.
Which spot is this?
This is just reserves. I don't have the formats.
Yeah, okay.
Because I just was like, but yeah, those are the names I like for my reserves.
So, you said you love the Kings. You want one of the Kings.
Yeah.
Well, this is your lucky day. My reserves. So starting with forwards, it's Domantas Sabonis.
I like it.
It's Anthony Davis.
Okay.
And Lauri Markkanen. Those are my forwards. My guards, De'Aaron Fox and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the two reserves I have are Ja Morant and CJ McCollum. I think
I have a question for you though on your reserve. Because you said Anthony Davis, and I'm sure this is what Brady is searching up right now. Like what
games played?
Yep.
26.
So
that's what I'm saying.
I know it's not a lot, and I know that, but I think he's had a bounce back year this year. He has been very dominant so far this year.
He had that stretch where he was the MVP.
But for 3 weeks.
Yeah, there's not a lot of talent in the forward spot that you could be an all-star in the West. I mean, who was I going to say? Walker Kessler. But it's he did have a 2020 game, so, I mean, I could. But, Brady, go ahead.
Okay, so for the two guard spots on the bench, I got Shai and Ja. And then the three forwards, I got Paul George, Domantas Sabonis, and then I got Aaron Gordon.
Okay, that's an underrated one.
I think it's a little. I think the shooting percentages that he's shooting balling, 60% from the field, and 40% from three, which is an absurd number to be at. He's only averaging 17 points per game, but at that efficiency, Like that's just like an insane number, and the Nuggets are the 1 seed. And then so the 2 alternates I had off the bench, I'm giving it to Devin Booker and Damian Lillard. And then the IR, the first man off the IR was De'Aaron Fox. So the first guy to replace someone, I think it would be Fox.
I kind of like that list.
I think Devin Booker has to be there.
Yeah, I think actually I'll sub about my CJ McCollum for Devin Booker.
Devin Booker has to be there.
I'm leaving Devin Booker off my list.
There's no way you can leave Devin Booker off.
I'm not going to put Paul George on my list, I think.
I'm not going to put any Clippers. I'm not going to put any Suns.
I don't think they deserve any
Paul George has
All-Stars.
had a good season.
He has, but the expectations are way higher, more than they've ever been for the Clippers. And time again, they just fall short. And especially someone for Paul George, who's continuously deals with injuries. And I know he's been balling out. I don't know how many games he missed this year. I think
he's played 35 games.
So
that's the same number as Embiid.
But I'm just saying. But he doesn't
play he's not as dominant as Embiid.
I don't know. He's not as dominant. I'm just saying the games played thing. It's there's more players are more similar than you'd think. The fact that Paul George and Embiid are at the same.
But the thing with the Clippers, it's a lot of load management.
Yeah.
No, I know
they have a lot of they bench there's times where Kawhi Leonard plays every other game Paul George.
As Paul George as my forward, who would you want as the forward instead of him?
Well, I would say. Thinking.
Did you say Laurie or no?
I didn't say.
I like
Laurie off.
I like Laurie.
I think he has to be rewarded.
Yeah, he's had such a great season.
I think a lot of people wrote him off, and he's really responded. As in terms of going from Minnesota, then Chicago, right? And he was drafted by Minnesota, then traded to Chicago. Or do I have that backwards?
No, you have that right.
Yeah, I don't. I think he was drafted by.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Sure, if Laurie
was
replacing Paul George, I would not. I don't think I'd be upset. I wouldn't care that much. I think those two are pretty interchangeable.
The Clippers
there for
just are such a weird team.
The Clippers are a weird team.
Such a weird team, and I don't want to reward them for it.
I have a soft spot for Paul George. I love watching him play. I think he's just he
has one of the deepest bags.
That's where this is coming from.
I think
just love watching Paul George.
I think he was Jason Tatum before Jason Tatum.
Paul George. I guess you could say that.
Yeah. He's much more.
Ball handling, shooting,
or you could say Jason Tatum is Paul George 2.0.
Paul George. Paul George is what Jason Tatum would have been if he hadn't moved away from the 2-point, the mid-range shot. Because Jason Tatum's rookie year, he would just shoot a lot of mid-range twos. That's kind of where Paul George does.
The year he talked to Kobe, he just started going crazy.
Don't even get me started with that. Yeah, man.
Paul, I think that's what it's Jason Tatum who shoots less threes and more twos.
So Brady, you want to start off with the East, and we'll just go around this way.
So my the 2 guards off the bench, and I would like to actually press it. In my East starters, I have Jaylon Brown as the guard instead of Kyrie. I think
Celtics fan.
I think if you're gonna put 2 All-Stars on the starters, it should be the best team. And where Jaylon is having a comparable season to Kyrie, I think it makes sense.
No, it does.
I also have a little bit of hatred for Kyrie. It's still in there. So that's why my 2 guards are actually Tyrese Halliburton and Darius Garland are my 2 guards for the bench. My forwards, Joel Embiid, obviously, Bam Adebayo, and then DeMar DeRozan are the 3 forwards. And then my 2 alternates are Kyrie Irving and Pascal Siakam. And then the first man off the if someone gets hurt is Jalen Brunson.
Okay,
I like that. What was the first guard name you said?
Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, okay. No, okay. It was Darius Garland, who the second name you said. But
Garland. Yeah.
I have a very similar close to your list. Obviously, I have Joel. Since he wasn't a starter. But I have Halliburton. I know Halliburton's missed a lot of time recently, dealing with an injury.
And they've been bad since he was out.
Exactly. But you look at that, no one had the Pacers doing this well. Coming into the season, at least playing competitive basketball. I'm more shocked, and that goes to them and their scouting department, because also that rookie, I can't say Mathurin.
Oh yeah, Bennett Mathurin out of Arizona.
Yeah, if Paulo wasn't in this draft, he'd definitely be my favorite for rookie of the year. But so I think you got to reward Halliburton. Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky for my other guard. I really like Brunson or Garland, but I think with Donovan Mitchell in the starting lineup, I'm going to give it to Brunson, just because the Knicks have had. I think that was, you've probably heard it. That's probably the best offseason signing this past offseason. Yeah, probably the best signing of this offseason. So I'm going to go with Brunson. And then for my forwards, though, Jaylen Brown, obviously. I'm probably.
Are we classifying Jaylen Brown as a forward or a guard?
Forward. He's technically a guard.
Is he really?
Technically in the voting.
I really don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter that
much. I'm gonna take him as a guard though.
Okay. Well, Well, if that's the case, then you could either take. I would say Bam, Pascal, or Brown would probably be my one of the two you could substitute or something.
So I like Pascal, but I don't have him in my reserves.
I think he would be my injury reserve.
So I'm going to start with my forwards because Embiid shouldn't even be on here. He should be a starter. But I'm going to have Embiid as a forward. I'm going to have Julius Randle as another forward. I think he's had a great year this year.
Yeah, he's had a bounce back year.
Bounce back year.
Yeah.
And Nikola Vucevic, I think is my.
There's no way. There's no way.
Is my third.
The Bulls haven't.
There's no way you just.
I can't.
Nikola Vucevic.
There's no way.
The Bulls have not been.
Vucevic has not been better than DeMar this year. And that's for the same spot.
And there's so much turmoil going on behind.
Exactly. And Vucevic is carrying.
I saw a report that
Vucevic is not.
You know what? I change it. Pascal Siakam instead of Vucevic. I was just saying I'm not gonna have Pascal, but Pascal over Vucevic.
Okay.
Vucevic is like the third best player on his
I was
team.
gonna say,
but DeMar is clearly.
You know what's so funny about that? Speaking of the Bulls, just real quick, they are looking for 2 first-round picks to trade Alex Caruso. I just thought that was
ridiculous.
Exactly.
I just want to bring up. I feel like the Bam Adebayo disrespect. I was just.
It's gonna be
from you.
Like Bam Adebayo is gonna keep getting disrespected by me because I think he's severely overrated. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league.
I do too.
His defense is good. His offense is bad. He's soft.
His defense is he's probably the defensive player of the year.
No, I would say.
All right,
I'm just
gonna ignore that what you just said because that was the most.
What do you mean? No,
that was just that's a horrible take.
That is a base take.
That I hate that take.
And his offense has gotten a lot better this year.
But okay, I'm just gonna ignore that because I can't even stand that.
That's like a normal take in NBA community to say that Bam has been the defensive player of the year.
I don't know.
Let me just finish because that is a bold take in my opinion.
I think it's Jaren Jackson Jr., but
no, because he fouls out a lot.
I mean, he does. He does foul, but when he is on the court, he does make a huge impact.
So my guards. I have James Harden, and before anyone says this, I'm gonna tell you how he's been doing. He has bounced back. He looks more explosive. He's leading the league in assists with 11.1. His shooting percentage is back up to about 39% from 3. He's averaging 45% from the field. I think he's having a really great bounce back season being that number 2 role. Mm-hmm. My other guard is Jaylon Brunson. No. Actually, my other guard is Jaylen Brown. Because I think you can't deny that he's been really great this year. He's been one of the best guards in the league.
The way that both of them are playing together is really...
Yeah.
They figured it out. You can tell.
They figured it out, but he has had some rough games. And when I say rough, he has highs of the highs and the lows of the lows.
The next game, the 2 free throws, those were... That was like just pain.
Bad.
It was just so much pain over me. He's up and down.
And to finish things off, my 2 reserves, I have Jaylon Brunson, who has been really great this year for the Knicks. Y'all might hate me for this one. Tyrese Maxey.
He's not an all-star.
He is an all-star. I think he's made that leap. I think he's an all-star.
Did you say Halliburton?
Nope.
Then I'm done. I'm done. That is all my evidence. There's
nope.
No world.
Halliburton is not. Hey, what did the Knicks guy say? A wannabe all-star?
Hey, I will say,
your claims for Harden were that he's leading the league in assists. Do you know who's number 2?
Who?
It's Tyrese Halliburton. He's averaging 10 assists per game.
Oh, well, that's a whole assist down. I'm still saying. A
whole assist down. We're talking about the best player on the team. We're talking about the 3rd best player on the team.
Second.
I love Tyrese Maxey, dog, but I just...
You watch Tyrese Maxey on a court and he has much of a bit. He's one of the best scorers on the team.
I don't know.
Which I think y'all all can agree with that.
I mean, man,
he's coming off the bench willingly because he puts his team first. I think he is a all-star. I think he's one of the lower tier all-stars, but I think he is an all-star.
I love Maxey.
I think he's more of an all-star than Halliburton.
I would rather put Maxey in the all-star game than Harden. I would rather.
Which I mean, I don't have a problem with, but I still think Harden is an all-star.
But I would put Halliburton above both of them. I would.
Halliburton is not above Maxey
without even a doubt.
And Halliburton.
Did you say Garland?
No, I don't think he didn't say Darius Garland.
I didn't say Garland.
That's what it's like. And plus, you got to remember, Maxey was out for like a good month and a half. And then,
but he came back and put up 30, so it's
I know,
to not have. So it's like that month didn't even happen. You know that month he was Cowboys put up 30, so we're good.
Drops 30.
It's whatever.
This kid's
I mean, let me tell you this. Let me tell you why Maxey I think is an all-star. There was one game.
He dropped 30.
No. I'm going to tell you. It was the Philadelphia 76ers at The Sacramento Kings. They were lighting the beam. I'm just saying, there was no Embiid. There was no Harden. Let me tell you Tyrese Maxey's stat line. Oh, he had 32 points, 6 and 3. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying
he puts up 32, 6 and 3, and we're gonna say he's an all-star.
Didn't Tyrese Halliburton break like a record for like assists in a game by a rookie or a Pacers player? I think it might have been a Pacers
Probably.
player.
I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is that good.
I think he put up like he had like 20 plus assists.
Pardon me while I scour the game log for a Tyrese Halliburton game.
I'm sorry, but
go back to December 23rd.
Has Tyrese Halliburton ever scored 40 points? No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
This season, Tyrese Maxey has scored 44 points in a comeback win against the Raptors.
My point in bringing up the Halliburton in this game is there's so many NBA players who have great games.
But he does it consistently.
Eric Gordon put up 50 like 2 years ago. Does anyone talk about Eric Gordon like that way? No.
You know what?
It's just anyone can do anything, and just like the one game doesn't make you an all-star.
Brady,
that is true. That one game.
Brady, Brady, you make a lot of great points, but the more I sit here, the more I'm...
he's averaging 21 points a game, shooting 40% from 3 and 46% from the field.
Tyrese Maxey dropped 30.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying he's my starter over Halliburton.
I like it. I'm gonna stick with that energy because I'm not gonna like go away from my Sixers. So yeah, I'm gonna agree with them.
I might be biased.
Maxey,
you might be biased.
I might be biased. I might just have 3 Sixers in the All-Star reserves.
Just a little biased.
But I have Harden over Garland, and I have Maxey over Tyrese Halliburton.
I think this is a good spot to end the show. I think this is a great spot to end the show. This has been the student section on 90.7.
And while we're at it, Joel Embiid's the most dominant player.
Yeah, without a doubt. He's probably the most dominant player since Shaq.
What? All right, nope, we're done. I'm turning off here. Have a great night, everyone.
WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.